In today's video, we're going to be finishing up the plumbing for the DIY integrated Morphlate system. And then we're also going to start the prototyping for the upper portion of the rear bench seats. With that, let's get this thing started. Now, for those of you guys who are new to this channel, my name is Carl, and this channel is dedicated to all things mods, DIY, and engineering for your second and third gen Tacoma. So make sure you smash that like and subscribe button already. Do it now, guys. This video is part 3 of my overly complicated compressed air system, which will power my lockers and simultaneously inflate and deflate my tires. While we're working on this, we're also converting those rear back seats into lower profile bench seating. Now, why am I doing all of this? Well, it's actually my goal to make my Tacoma the most perfect modular Tacoma that can be used for wheeling, glamping, and working. Now, here's a quick recap of all the work we've done so far. We've removed the rear seats, we've installed sound deadeners, we've installed this giant rear molly panel, and we've also relocated my compressor, relocated my air tank, and plumbed it to the bottom bench seating prototype so far. So with that, let's get to the garage. So just a few updates, guys. First one is this flange was reprinted at a thinner profile with a higher infill, so that increases flexibility and strength, and now you don't really see the stress cracking anymore on those mounting points. Now, I do have a major design change that did happen. So after some more testing of the system, I found out that this three-way valve really only seals 100 psi coming from the end side of this valve. So that's the middle side of this valve. And if it's coming from either the 1 or the 2 side, it doesn't seal. So it's like a gate system that only really seals one way. So I did have to put in this secondary ball valve here, because what happens is if I switch it to the 1 to try to fill up the tires, and then I switch it to the N, the air pressure from the 1 will still keep feeding into the tire. That's why this secondary ball valve had to be put in. Now, I'll give you guys a little bit more details of how it's plumbed. And I mean, it's really simple. So let's get into here. So this hose is the one that comes from the air tank, and it goes to the top of that secondary valve and then out the bottom here, and then continues on to the 1 portion of the valve. This is good too, because just in case there's any leaks on this 3-way valve, we do have a redundancy with this ball valve to make sure that the system can still be pressurized and still work the lockers. I think at this point we can now work on the 2 pigtails, and this is what we'll be using to inflate the tires on both sides. So I'll make 2, one for the passenger and 1 for the driver's side. But I'll give you guys a quick breakdown of how all of this connects. This first piece is what connects to the female end on the platform. And this basically screws into here. I'll put some pipe dope on there so we can get a good seal. Same thing with this fitting to this air chuck portion. Now, all of these materials I will link down in the description below. And as you can see, this is one of those quick connect air chucks that clamps right onto the Schrader valves. So once you put it on the Schrader valve, clamps on there and secures it, and this will be sealed and connected to here. And once we have all fittings sealed, then we'll connect the tube, be using the same 3/8 inch tube, and basically just splice it among all the quick connect. Now, what's great about these quick connect fitting is if we ever spring a leak, we just cut it, trim it, and then just reinsert it here. Let's get to the assembly of this now. All right, guys, so in terms of measurements, I think I'm going to oversize it a little tiny bit. So measuring from the back side of that wheel and lining it up so we have extra slack. That's about 7 feet at the rear. Now at the front, that's about 11 feet. So we have 7 feet and 11 feet of tubing that we'll have to cut. I'm gonna start out with laying the tubing down on the ground. I'll use some needle nose pliers to hold one end so that it stays straight. Right here is 7 feet. Right there is 11 feet. Now let's connect the one tubing. Now let's make sure it's bottomed out, and that's snug. Should be good to go. Bring it to the T. Bottomed out. Good to go. Same thing with the shorter 7-foot tubing. And that's also bottomed out. Last one. Probably keep this at around 8 inches. And that's good. And that's also good. So that's one of our pigtails. So let's test this thing onto the truck. So first, let's put this on our quick disconnect. And then open up this valve. Yep, that's secure. And that side's secure. Yeah, it looks like I can actually go much shorter than that, but I'll keep it long for now. This thing looks amazing, guys. Definitely much shorter than the Morphlate, and with the blue tubing being so bright, you definitely won't miss it when you're at the trails. So what we did there, guys, is I split the air going out of the tank. It tees off so that we can get air into the ARB air lockers, and then this goes to the tire inflator system. So I think for the most part, this should be good to go with the plumbing. Now I will include the diagrams, and I'll link them down in the description below if you ever want to build something like this for yourself. That should include all of the materials that I used, as well as how everything is pretty much laid out. So I think now that we have the air compressor fully hooked up and the air lockers fully hooked up, this is pretty much good to go. The rest of this will be just cleanup work. I was thinking about this problem yesterday. The driver's side back is going to be very easy to kind of fabricate something, since all we're doing is putting basically a flat platform and locking it in the upright and the down position. Now the passenger side has a little bit of a added complexity, because this, I do want to have the same function as the driver's side, but this will house the fridge slider. So I'll show you my mock-up when I was testing out that idea a while ago. So this is the fridge slider system. These two holes are basically what mounted onto that swivel portion of the seat. And I did really like this placement. The only problem is when I had it go in the up position, that hook portion of the latch would actually interfere with this. So I'm thinking, in order to visualize the problem and also figure out a solution, I'll probably just remove the lower frame portion and just see how everything mates. So this is just held down with glue and a few of the pocket holes. Once I remove this, I should be able to mate up this back piece portion so that we can really see what's going on here. That actually fits pretty well. My second design idea would be to have the plywood underneath this bracket instead of over it, so that it sits just a tiny bit lower, because the fridge does stay kind of tall when we're raising this. So you can see that latch is probably just a couple inches too low, so it interferes with that portion of the seat. Have to figure this out a little bit. So I just got an idea, guys. I'm going to basically cut the corners a little bit here so it fits more in the orientation that I want. Now before I put the fridge in, let's give this a quick test sit. So yeah, that's pretty good. It's not bad at all. It's almost like a park bench, you know, when it comes to your posture. So that also has probably the perfect height for this setup actually. So let's put the fridge and test fit everything. Definitely have plenty of room to reach the stuff back here. We can slide it out. I'll definitely need to stiffen that board a bit. As you can see, starting to twist there. After installing that fridge and just testing it out and how everything fits, I think this is actually the optimum distance from the wall. So I'm not gonna mess around with that anymore. And in terms of the locking mechanism, we'll just have to find a way to work around this. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and make sure you smash that like and subscribe button if you haven't yet. All the materials used in this video will be linked in the description below. And if you do want to make your own Morphlate copycat, at least my version of it, I'll be linking the system diagram as well as multiple versions that you can try out for yourself. And until next time, peace out, everybody.